Yes, sir. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Personnel, Health and Safety meeting. And if we start with roll, Alderman Lee, would you start, please?
Driving the lines here.
Judd Hart.
Jeff Morrow.
Mandy Spicer.
Tom Farmer.
Abdomen Zodigan. Bill Donner.
Evelyn Reed.
And Spencer Cole.
Steve Brown. Right back.
Do you have a quorum? Have y'all had the chance to look over the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion to second to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? All our business tonight is talking about the revision of the employee handbook, and I'll let Miss Mandy start off with that.
Okay. If you will notice, each of you has a binder that is sitting in front of you. It's a black binder. If you'll open it up, you'll see that it is the employee handbook. It is redlined. And so each one of the additions, and there were simple ones, you'll see there's a cheat sheet in the left-hand wing of your book. Like the first one, we updated the Ward 4 Position 2 council member that was inside of the handbook. So those are the different ones. The next one will be like on page 13. We made a little bit of an adjustment, but if you flip to page 13, you'll be able to see what was actually changed there because it's redlined. There's nothing substantial. The majority of it is just clarifications. There may have been just a little bit of an addition to like the catastrophic leave program needed a little bit more definition as to what was a catastrophic illness. So it was more than just clarification. We had to put a whole definition in there. So anyway, just look over that. If you have any questions, this has been in front of all of the department heads. We plan to discuss it at the department head meeting on Wednesday. It's gotten all of their feedback as well. I'm sure we'll get some more feedback this week.
Okay, so we need to review this and bring it back to the next meeting, and we will approve it or disapprove it or make changes or whatever you think we need to do next month, but that'll give us plenty of time to go through it. And if we have any questions, we can ask the mayor or Miss Mandy or whatever we need to do. Any other discussion on the handbook?
I'm just curious about so March 1st is the date. Does that just give us more time to, I would expect, is this something we do every year?
No, we haven't done it in a while, but it's a review. Everybody's looked at, make sure it's all legal and proper. And so the way it'll work is in February we can say it's okay and can before the February meeting, and it's got to be 30 days before it takes place.
Okay, understood.
Can you point out anything major that's in it, or are we just gonna
if I can speak to that, they're really honestly, so Mandy did a really good job putting together a good summary that should be in your packet as well. There really aren't any major changes. So we had a huge kind of major rewrite of the handbook last year that y'all approved. It's worked very well for us. Where the revisions come from are just lessons learned, or where there's clarification needed, or sometimes an employee might try to play in the gray area a little bit, and so we're trying to make it less gray and more black and white. And so there's not a lot of major change. It's mostly clarifying or writing in what already exists. For the most part, there are a few minor items here and there, but by and large, everything is just a clarification of what the policy was intended to accomplish on the first end.
I just ask one other question, just so in the policy, does it say that you can't take PTO time after a holiday?
Without approval.
I hope it would be approved no matter what.
Typically,
but
PTO after a holiday. I think I was looking at that earlier today, actually. PTO after a holiday is disallowed.
It's not allowed?
Correct.
Is that normal?
That's typical of the private practice, private sector.
Because essentially, the way we use PTO is it's a sick day without having, because it's only for civilian employees, it's not for the uniforms. It's sick time that doesn't have a sick note. So the way that it's written is uniformed or non-uniformed. If you use a sick day, you have to have a sick note accompany it if it flanks a holiday. So we try to kind of treat it PTO the same way for civilians as we did for the uniforms. Because you still get your vacation days. It's just those 24 hours of PTO.
This would be on page 15, for instance, where it says on the top of the page, in blue and red, it says, unless otherwise approved in writing, paid leave cannot be used before or after a holiday except in the event of an inclement weather day.
So if I wanted to take a day, like President's Day, and I wanted to take 2 extra days off to go on a long trip, I couldn't do that, or I'd have to get approval?
You get approval for it. So we'd ask that you submit your vacation plans at the front of the year, and if that's when your vacation plans fall, that'd be an approval in writing. That'd be all right.
However, for civilians, there's 3 different types of leave. There's sick, vacation, and PTO. So PTO is the only thing that we're talking about here. Vacation, you can use that, you can flank that on a holiday any way you want to, with prior approval with your supervisor.
And the reason for prior approval is obvious. We gotta have everything covered.
We have any more questions? So if y'all read that, bring it back in February, we'll make the final changes and take it for the full council. Anybody have any other items for the Personnel, Health and Safety Committee? If not, I call this meeting adjourned. Steve Brown, 9 minutes.
I will go ahead and call the Finance Committee meeting to order. I'd like to recognize all the attendees, starting on my left with Alderman Lee as he's walking back. We'll skip him. Trevor, do you mind?
Trevor Valines.
Judd Hart.
Mandy Spicer.
Tom Farmer.
After Metazodigan.
Bill Donner.
Frank Baptist. And Steve Lee. Alderman Lee is back in his chair now, so we will formally recognize him. Thank you all for being here. If anyone has had an opportunity, I'll entertain a motion for approval of minutes from the December 9th meeting. Have a motion. Is there a motion and a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next up will be an update from our friends at Benton Utilities.
Technologically challenged, I'm just gonna say that. Okay, so we're going over November 24 financial statement. As you can see on page 2, our expenses were over revenues, $295,000. Typically that happens towards the end of the year. It just didn't happen until November of this year, so. So much depends on the weather, and we had good weather up until that point. In the 4th column, the year-to-date, you can see our revenues are over expenses $6.4 million, which is up $3.1 million from 23. And as we have discussed in prior meetings, the majority of that increase is that we didn't spend a lot of the funds that we had for capital projects for 24. We did roll, I remember we rolled over on our budget for capital projects. It was, I think we budgeted like 11 million for capital projects in 25.
That was also, the revenue was due to the increase, wasn't it as well?
Yes, yes.
Do we know
It-
how
it's-
much revenue was over revenue last year?
Yes, 3.1 million.
Okay.
Well, not revenue, the revenue over expenses is up 3.1 million. I misstated that. If you look at, revenue there on the last column there, year-to-date, difference between 24 and 23, it's up 5.6 million. And that would be attributable to the rate increases. Mr. Peterson asked me about the reimbursement we received from the state for the Highway 5, and that's not included in the revenue. We offset that against the expenses to zero it out. Page 3, that is our change in inventory for the month of November. Our inventory increased almost 15,000. This report just basically, that's all it's doing, is just giving an idea of the levels that our inventory changes each month. It was used for something else prior because construction in progress was included on that. That didn't hit our revenues and expenses, but we changed that several years ago.
Questions from anyone? Any additional information, gentlemen?
Last month, maybe I don't need to put stuff back on the microphone, but I know I'm allowed. Live in our own loud. Are we always live?
We are.
Okay. This has not been presented to the commission at this time. Our first meeting of the month, we were not able to have a meeting. We were not gonna have a quorum, so we had to reschedule that, our PUC meeting for January 21st. But what you have in front of you, this last month, I talked to y'all about, what we're looking at redoing the electric rates, okay? And what I have in front of you is what they currently are as of 2025, okay? And then what is being proposed, okay? What is being proposed, as you can see, has, in the residential is exactly the same, the small general is exactly the same. And then the remaining are being adjusted accordingly, where we're setting the demand charges at a fixed number all year on the larger ones, and then lowering the energy rate on those. And it's also going to have a power cost adjustment that will be included, so where we will then monthly either have a credit or a debit associated with that, where we'll have a charge, or they'll get a credit associated with it. Again, this has not been submitted to the PUC. It will be submitted to them on January 21st, but I wanted to get it in front of y'all also, so it gives time. They will have time to give comments. We will go through it, and then it will probably be coming to y'all in the form of a ordinance change in February, okay? And then we'll have to go through the 3 readings and have to go through, I guess, the public comment. Do you have to do all that? I think, because that's what I thought. So again, we would not entertain this taking effect until June 1st. When you evaluate these, when you compare our revenue per where it is currently to where I am setting the rates, they're neutral. Actually, in some of them, it's actually a reduction a little bit. This is also removing the CPI index for 2026, 2027, 2028, going forward, okay?
And that's because you're trying to cap it each month so that it comes out neutral and you won't need that?
That is correct.
Okay, so if there is a credit on someone's account the following month, that means their bill could be reduced?
It will, if, the way it works is we calculate, we actually take all our bills and all our revenue from, because we have ownership in the coal plant, that coal plant sells into the market. So for what it sells into the market, we make money. So when we sell into the market, we make money, what we use, we pay for our load. We add all that up, and within these rates, I'm going to more than likely be proposing what I'll call 57 mills, or 5.7 cents per kWh built in, okay? That's what I think our average cost is. I will calculate that every month and say, what did it cost me to have electricity delivered to Benton for our customers? If it's more than 5.7 cents per kWh, it will be a charge to the customer. If it's less than that, it will be a credit that flows back to the customer. It'll be a separate line item on their bill for the PCA.
And if my memory serves me correct, in the past, that would have been like 9 out of 12 months, they would have gotten something back.
Correct.
Everything y'all say?
Yes.
So it would have, their bill would be actually lower?
Correct. Per kWh.
Yes.
So what'll happen is you'll see an energy charge, and then it'll literally show, hey, here is the normal charge that you get every month. Here's the power cost adjustment. And then it'll literally show that. I did it for January, for December cost, and we were a little short. We would have needed an extra $26,000, okay, to all our customers. I would then estimate what my sales are for January, and I think it came out to 1/10 of a penny per kWh is what would get passed on to the customer. And what will happen is, because here's the key, I estimated what my sales are. So if my estimated sales are 24 million and we actually sell 25 million, that means I collected more money. Well, that will roll back in and say, okay, we actually collected more than we were supposed to. We need to give that back next month as a rolling balance credit back to the customer. The key on the power cost adjustment is to end up at the end of the year basically zero. You know, we don't want to collect more than we're supposed to or get back more than we're supposed to. You know, it's just getting back to that whole number.
And I guess in the process through June 1st, will you be going to some of our larger customers and having conversations with them? Or
Yes.
Did they call you? Or?
No, I'm gonna have conversations with one large, very sure. And if you'll look, me and the mayor had a meeting with them. If you'll look on here, if you'll notice that rate, the demand charge is going up, but the energy charge is going down substantially. So to about a nickel. And I'm gonna change the name from large power to large power / industrial. Because there's actually only 3 customers that would fit in that category. And that's Walmart, the hospital, and Corsted. Because that customer has to have a load of larger than a megawatt or 1,000 kW. That's the only way you get that rate. Because with that, you'll be required to pay a minimum demand charge. If you want that low of a rate, you're gonna have to pay a minimum demand charge, and the minimum demand charge is $10 times 1,000 kW. So a small customer will not say, oh, I want that rate. Okay, well, you need to pay me $10,000 minimum demand charge. For the large power industrial. For the large general, it's 100. Yes, correct, very small. And that's one of the things, and I know Shane had asked this last time, we are going to put within our policy, if we see something, a few years ago, we had Winter Storm Uri. Electrical costs went through the roof. With our cash flow, me and Jimmy have talked about it, we're going to have a number, if our number that we have to collect is to a certain point, is over a certain, and it causes a detriment to my customers, we will then automatically spread that over a few months so that our customers do not see. I can tell you, when my previous employer, the power cost adjustment, if I would have collected the full amount, it was as much as the rate was. So we said, I can't do that. I mean, we had to spread it over several months, and if we have the cash flow, and we do, if we have the capability, the reserves, we'll spread that out to not cause our customers any financial.
policy, or is that?
I will have it within, no, that is not, because right now you don't have a power cost adjustment. Right now, here's the rate. As we move into where we're in buying power from the market and blocking power in, if you go and you have a bad day, you need to be able to spread that over several months. Again, this has not been proposed to the commission yet. I've talked to them also about it ahead of time and told them it's coming. I've got the write-ups, I think, and before they start, I'm gonna start to talk. I wanna get their read and talk to them, and I intentionally looked at that one because of previous meetings we've had.
Any other questions? Gentlemen, anything else?
That's all I got. Thank y'all.
All right, moving along, next item on our agenda, is an opportunity for us. Each year, the Department of Finance and Administration, sets the purchase threshold level for
He
cities
missed
and
one.
counties, and adjust it each year based on the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers published by the Department of Labor. City of Benton has historically been very conservative with this, and has maintained a threshold of $20,000 for any individual project.
We skipped one.
The
We did.
actual,
We'll have to go
We
back.
skipped one, just so you'll know, but we can finish this one and.
I'm sorry,
move forward.
you're right, I did skip one, my apologies.
No, keep going since you've already, you don't even repeat
Yeah,
yourself.
thank you. First thing we did. Again, historically, the city of Benton has been very conservative with this, maintaining the $20,000 threshold for projects. Go out for formal bid. The new guidelines, the guidelines for the last several years have come in significantly higher than the $20,000. We as a city have chosen to maintain the $20,000. The new threshold that they're publishing this year is $42,921. This is an opportunity for us to discuss this, to make any recommendations or determinations if we want to change that $20,000 threshold to another number, match their number, pick another number, between 20 and 42, just to give our folks some additional flexibility when bidding out these small projects. At the end of the day, $20,000 doesn't go as far as it used to. It's kind of the point there. So I'm presenting this, I'm opening up the floor for conversation, and questions, as well as to, fill in any blanks. Yes, sir.
That 42,000 to me sounds like an awful odd number. I think saying 30,000 wouldn't be out of question.
I tend to agree with you. I think it's the 42. It is
That's
an
going up
unusual number based on
50%,
a formula, but I don't want anyone to think I'm advocating we go from where we are to the max amount, but I agree with you. I think there's some.
I'd be happy to
opportunity for
stay
us
where we're at, or if there's a move. You know, I could go 30, because that's 50% increase.
So if you'll look at your second sheet, that's the Department of Finance Administration's recommendation. And the current, state recommendation is 35,000. And so the way that they do it is they use the CPI to be able to, and they put that in, so that's how they come up with the 42,921, and they'll change it each year.
A lot of humongous
Yeah.
projects, I mean, we can't, we're not, that ain't the size of the state.
Are you making a motion, Alderman Lee, or do you want to see if there's additional conversation before making a motion?
So what,
Yes, because if there's nothing, then it would remain the same, so I could live with that.
are we still in discussion or are you making? So currently, right now, if it's over 20, it has to come with us, and so this.
Has to go out for formal bid.
Right, and and that would allow,
It's still gonna have to come before the council. Even if we go out for
Prior
bid,
to-
it still comes back to the council.
It just doesn't have to go through the bid process. We
Right.
still have to approve it, it just doesn't have to go through the bid process.
Right.
is the ability to select one company over another then, or will the bid process then not be adhered to, I guess, if it's less than that? I mean, if it's under the 30,000?
So it's,
That option is what it's saying. We have
so
the
it's,
option.
it's not just for projects, it's for, let's say,
Pickup truck.
a pickup truck that is $35,000. Last year, we went out to bid twice because we had to buy a pickup truck, one in parks and one in community development. In this instance, we could have just gotten quotes and took the lowest quote and not have to go through the formal bid process, and we probably could have gotten one a lot quicker. I think a couple of years ago when we did it in streets, we actually lost the one vehicle that we were trying to get because of the time constraints of going out to bid and then bringing it before council, getting the quote. So if projects is another one, Chief Hodges probably has examples of when this would benefit him all the time in smaller purchases. And I know 20,000 doesn't seem like small numbers, but it is when you're buying a group of things. So, yeah.
Can y'all hear me on this?
Mhm.
So, in vehicle upfits,
Yeah.
They're hitting 22,000 now. It's budgeted, you approve the cars to be bought and upfitted. But if we go over that 20,000, then I gotta do bids, and then it's a long process. We're trying to order vehicles. Once we order, we wanna call the company we're gonna use and get those parts ordered so they can all start coming in. So we have to tell them, cut this off, cut this off, we'll try to buy that later. I gotta be below 20 so that I can place the order now. And so it's just, it's a hassle to have to go through it, to be honest. I don't mind doing the bid process when we have time, but in the instance of buying a vehicle, the car lot's not holding a vehicle for you for 2 months to get it to go through the process. They're gonna sell it first in the month.
I think the thing to consider is, and everyone needs to understand, I don't think the request is to change any of the processes that we're operating under today. Those will all still take place as they always have. It's just changing that number, adding to the threshold a little bit of when the next level of accountability or documentation is probably a better word than accountability must happen. Alderman Lee?
In the instance of the police vehicles, when he bids on the vehicle, you get a vehicle, but common sense tells you that it has to be fitted out. My personal opinion is you need to fit it exactly like you need it to be with all the others. And I don't know if I think that once if you bid for the vehicle, the fit now, to me, you ought to have the liberty to just fit it out to whoever. Because you're not gonna go this one, that one, that one, that one. You wanna keep them one. You wanna keep them all alike. So I think that would be an exception to the rule situation, in my opinion. The fitting out of the police vehicles. I don't know what it would require
Yeah.
to give him that liberty.
Unless things have changed, we just had one outfitter in central Arkansas for a long time.
Well, there's others we could use, and we periodically bid out to Tico in Shreveport, to a place in Oklahoma, just to see, is there a better option, and we haven't come up with one. And what I was gonna add is, this isn't gonna change the department head's responsibility. They're gonna go out, they're gonna get the quotes, they're gonna go with the best deal, whether it be that lowest cost or it's a better quality product. It's just, they're not having to wait and go through a sealed
Well,
bid process.
what would be a good
They're
number?
still going to do it.
What would be a good number for you to live by?
The 30,000 unless y'all have another number that, the first thing that comes to mind is our upfitting, and that's 20 to 25,000 depending on what we get.
That's
Things like-
today's price though, right?
That's today's price.
That's not next year's.
And I'll give you an example. For instance, I'd like to get my upfitter to completely outfit my vehicle, but because of that $20,000 threshold, I have to tell him, don't put stop sticks in it. We'll buy stop sticks from the dealer and do it ourselves. Don't do this to it. We'll do that ourselves. It'd be nice to be able to send it there because they're gonna get a better price than we can get because they're buying a lot of the stuff. But I can't utilize that because of that $20,000.
Well, I'm in agreement with Alderman Lee. I think when you get them, you should get them just like you want them. And
I
if,
can't because of the bid price.
well, we need to fix that. Don't you think, Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion to raise it to 30,000.
I have a motion on the floor. There's a second.
How much was it now? I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Would that cover you, Chief?
I think so. I was looking at the mayor and Mandy. We hadn't spoken about this. This is the first I've heard about this possibility. So I don't know if they had another number in mind.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna come around next year and I know
32.
how those prices increase.
Well, but this isn't just about
Police.
the police department. This is also about the street department, and he needs to pour a little drainage project that, right now, every drainage project it has to be under $20,000 for
Well,
him.
we've got to allow our
So-
department heads to do what they need to do, and I
Right.
think if they do anything stupid, the mayor will
Oh,
get right in the middle of them.
absolutely. But I mean, this will alleviate pressures on all of the department heads, it's not just police. But I mean, even in parks and streets, so.
Okay. I'll stay with my 30,000 motion.
I'm sorry.
I'll stay with my 30,000 motion.
I've got a question too. So Mayor, when was the last time this threshold was adjusted, whether it be at the city or the state? Do y'all know?
So at the state, it was adjusted last year,
Okay,
and it was adjusted to 35,000.
okay,
We've kind of floated it around between just informally, and it didn't seem there was an appetite to change it. That's why this is the first time that it's been brought back before Finance Committee
gotcha.
to actually change it.
Okay.
So it's been many years.
And this is a legislative audit issue if we did not follow the
It,
process or the purchasing policy, or is this a law?
it is a law,
It's a law. Okay.
yeah. And if you'll look at your second sheet, it'll actually give you your provisions and stuff. And that's why, the Department of Finance Administration actually adjusts those at the state level of what can it go up to. We can always be more stringent, but we can't be,
We can't go over their recommendation.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any additional 30,000, is my understanding of the, motion. Any additional discussion? Mayor, Mandy, anything you wanna add? Okay. All those in favor of adjusting it to 30,000, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. All right. Now,
Back to number 5.
back to number 5. There's some good news here, the 2025 budget appropriated $1 million in early principal payment to the 2015 capital improvement bond that was secured using franchise fees. These were the bonds used to assist with the build of the river center. So this is a good thing, we've got some money that we can pay for that bond to reduce that debt further and save our citizens some, interest on those bonds. And we will need, a resolution to, execute the principal, bond payment.
it'll come out of franchise.
Franchise.
This is the one secured by the franchise.
Question, what is the remaining debt on that building?
Those franchise fees,
Go ahead.
we had 2 bonds for franchise fees.
This is that money.
That,
Is that bond, that other bond that we're talking about?
Yes. And this is, we've just now gotten to the part where it's been 10 years after that bond was sought. So we were waiting on this magic period, and we're now there, where we can make your early principal payment. To,
Just making sure those franchise fees went to
yes.
specific bond.
So, to answer, Mr. Valline's questions, this one originally was a $6.455 million bond. And right now, the current balance is 5.515. And it was a 30-year bond. So we have 20 years left on it. If we make this $1 million payment, that will essentially cut off 3 years of the back end. Because those are the highest interest.
How much does it save any interest in every 6 months we have to pay?
They did create a new bond schedule, and so what we chose, they asked us, do you want to save the money, or do you want to just keep paying the original amount and it just cuts the years off?
Yeah.
We chose cut the years off because
Okay.
the ones later, the last 3 years, those are at 4%. It's the highest interest rate. The ones that we're paying right now, they're only at 3%. So it made sense. Let's go ahead and cut the highest interest ones, and then hopefully next year we'll be able to come back to you guys and say, hey, we've got another X number of dollars that we'd like to make another principal payment for it.
When's it mature? 30 years, but what was the origination date?
September of 2045.
And we pay every 6 months?
Yes.
How much? 45,000?
I mean, I'm trying to think, it's like 26,000 a month is what we put aside.
Yeah.
And then it has a larger payment because of the way that they set it up. It's kind of on a stair step.
Yeah.
So we'll end up paying more next year and more the year after that, so. But we're in a good spot right now to be able to make a principal payment. No, sir.
All right, any additional discussion? I'd entertain a motion to make the principal payment.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is a request for us to find is related to some equipment. Keith, do you want to fill us in? You have a preference on which one's first? Doesn't matter, either one.
So we're just requesting to trade in a Glock 43 axle, Pico safety. We plan to purchase a Glock 48 to replace it, one with an MOS system that allows for optics on the top of the weapon. So that's my first request.
Okay.
They're giving us a value of $230 per weapon, which I think is a good rate on a resale. We are also requesting, do you need to vote on that?
Yeah, we'll do vote on the individual. So you know what the difference in what the trade-in amount is versus the
I don't know the exact dollars, but we're trading in 8 weapons, and the return's gonna be, we're getting 6 weapons in return. Anything over, we will pay for out of our firearms budget or out of drug funds. So we have some money allotted, it's budgeted. There's probably a 200, and I was guessing about $230 difference in the 2 weapons. And we're trading in 8 and getting 6 in return. It's more about the trade than the value because we have the money budget.
You do have the money, but you, okay. Any questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
We have a 12 Beretta 1301 12-gauge shotgun, and we are requesting to trade those to Wildman Arms. It's gonna be a trade out for 12 Black Rain Ordnance AR-15 weapons, so a 1-for-1 trade. And I expect, if everything goes smoothly, we'll have a little bit of a credit, up to $300 credit.
Okay. So no additional out of pocket for that, they'll get credit back for it.
they said if they found anything wrong with the weapon, they could be adjusted, so, but the initial, here's what they looked at several of them, they looked good. I had my guys look at all the weapons, and they said they're all in about the same condition, so we don't see any unforeseen.
So what are you trading for?
AR-15, Black Rain Ordnance, AR-15 weapons. It's kinda like going into a tactical situation. Do you want a shotgun that holds 5 to 8 rounds, and then individual, it doesn't have a mag where you can put 8 to 10 more rounds in it.
Right.
But we can trade those for AR-15s, which come with high capacity mags, and you carry separate mags, so you could have 90 rounds on you easily. So if in a tactical situation, I wouldn't want a
So
shotgun.
you doing
I
that,
want a
doing
rifle.
away with all your shotgun, all of them? or-
That will be, not all of them, we still have a couple that we use for, less lethal stuff. And we have some on, like 1 or 2 on SWAT, but as far as patrol goes, this will completely outfit patrol where everyone has an AR-15.
Or semi-automatics, or like?
They're semi.
Additional questions, conversation? Entertain a motion to approve. A motion to the second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the acceptance, of some grant for parks and, an associated budget amendment. Parks Department has received notification of 2 grant awards since the approval of the 2025 budget. Saline River Greenway Phase 1 is a TAP grant, for $400,000, and the Cherry Remove Campsite Outdoor Recreation Grant for $774,662.38. The revenue, budget for the parks needs to be amended to accept both of those grants. They're not asking to, adjust the expenditures associated with these grants in 2025, as they don't feel like they'll be finished in 2025. So it's just amending the budgets to accept the grant for 2025.
Make that motion.
Have a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is we do this each year, and then we are able to do this in January this year, because Ms. Spicer and her staff efforts to finalize our December numbers and fiscal year end numbers for 2024. So we have in front of you the final numbers for 2024. That we will go over shortly, but the thing that we need to approve is the true-up budget. The effort to true up the budget, a little more clear there, that we do every year, that is required for us to do by legislative law. Any comments, questions that Ms. Spicer can answer? Not under the same motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion is second, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Spicer, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, if everybody will look at their books, the financials got a little dent, so you'll notice they didn't go back in your books that we had for that quarter. So I think in 25, we're gonna have to get bigger books because 3 months won't fit in those books. But if you will look, the general fund for the month of December, it was in the negative $54,617.28. However, for the year, we were still in the black, $1,169,302.58. If you'll look at the next line, our beginning balance, year-to-date change, so our current balance at December 31 of 2024 was $6,639,431.96. And that is of all of the general funds that are together. To let you understand what all that includes, the animal shelter monies that are set aside, the future salaries accounts that are set aside, there's a lot of, all of those have identities of those monies, so it's not like we're sitting on just that much cash. There's designations for each one of those things. We're in a very healthy spot. Financial stability is not held in that number. Financial stability is in the back, it's in special revenue. Nothing big happened in general fund as far as large expenditures or anything like that. one big exciting thing that did happen was the stage came in parks. So that was $190-something thousand expenditure that came through. We were waiting almost until the last week to hope that that came in December. John finished up some projects in streets. All of the different funds, they ended the year in a very, very positive way. Every fund was positive, which is a good thing. We want to be able to do that. So again, take the time, look at it. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, on the true up, that's just to get us in line to say that no department overspent what you guys appropriated and everybody stayed within their means. It's just moving it between office supplies and janitorial supplies is essentially the easiest way. Yes.
Is that not also a recommendation from the state as well to do that?
Yes, that is.
From the audit.
For the audit, yes.
One thing I do want to point out, we as a city are very fortunate on our sales tax. We went through several years where we had very healthy sales tax year-over-year increases. 2024 was still positive, but was certainly not as healthy as it has been in years past. So, we need to be very diligent as we're spending money in 2025 to ensure that we're accounting. We did a good job when we were budgeting, so I'm not counting that by exception. We only have 1% year-over-year increase, in 2024. So that is, we're fortunate to have it. We're not as fortunate as we have been in years past. We do need to be diligent as we move. Anything else? Anyone have any committees? I will call it.
Toby's gonna get you.
Won't pay.
95-year-old birthday party.
We call the commission's meeting to order. I'm gonna start with my left, Alderman Lee.
Jeff Morrow.
Toby Harshada.
Don Farmer.
Aptometazodian. Bill Donner.
Evelyn Reed. And Spencer Cole.
Frank Baptist.
Thank you, everyone. Next on our agenda, I'm calling, the chair has called a motion for approval for our minutes, for our December 2024 minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Next on our agenda is our information from our PUC and Council Member Clark.
And I don't have that in front of me.
It should be.
All right, an ordinance waiving competitive bidding, and ratifying the purchase of a 2024 Caterpillar skid steer. You wanna talk about that? Huh?
You gonna finish the.
Oh, and for Benton Utility, Department and for other purposes.
This has not been approved by our PUC yet, but because this meeting is happening prior to our meeting happen, I wanted to get it on y'all's agenda. If they choose to not accept and send it forward to y'all for waiving of competitive bidding, it will be pulled. Okay, I just wanted to get that in front of y'all, so if you want me to talk about why we're doing waiving competitive bidding.
21st, the next PUC meeting?
Yes,
21st, okay.
and y'all's meeting is,
The next week.
27th.
yes, correct, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Next is information from our A&T. agenda is information, from the P and Z. It's an ordinance rezoning 712 and 716 North Main Street in the city of Benton, Saline County, Arkansas, from the R2 Single Family District Detachment Housing from C1 Neighborhood Commercial and for other purposes. Do we have any questions about this property? This is,
Where is that, and do we know what they're wanting to rezone it?
this is over there by, Carpenter Street, and I believe this, and this, the property that Simmons have, and this is where Simmons is going to build onto Mr. John. And this is where Simmons, over here by Carpenter, that's where Simmons' property is, and they're rebuilding for them to make their establishment bigger. Simmons Eye Clinic, and they're making their establishment bigger. Any other questions? Next on our agenda is an ordinance rezoning parcels number 805-101-000-000, number 805-10096-000, and number 805-10089-000 in the city of Benton, Saline County, Arkansas, from R2 Single Family District Detachment Housing to C3 Service Commercial and for other purposes. And they're asking for this property to be rezoned to C3. What's that?
Where is that? I mean, is that, what's the makeup of that area? Is it all residential?
It's primarily commercial around there. I can, is there not a map on there that shows the location?
Last page in the packet says it's off the Benton Parkway.
And I think, didn't the gentleman say that they were gonna, he wasn't sure what they were gonna put there, but they were gonna sell it?
They said there was stuff, but nothing planned.
Nothing
He
planned
asked
at
for
this
the
point.
use, they said there's no planned use right
Is
now.
that on the corner there where Johnson?
Yes, yep.
They were gonna plan to sell, but they don't know yet. Any other questions? Do you have any other business?
I know the P and Z approved the Dixie to Fuller Street name change, correct?
No, that is still under discussion right now,
Okay.
so I'm gonna let
It's never
Mr. Foreman
voted
talk
on.
about that.
It was never voted on.
Okay, never voted on.
Still under discussion.
It didn't, but it will still come to council
It will once they vote on
once
it.
they vote on it. Okay.
I'd like to just say that even though the city offices were closed Friday for snow, that Mandy and her crew worked the entire time to get us the financials and get everything done for us. So I just want to say thank you, because while others were building snowmen or riding sleds, they were inside working to get us everything that we need for tonight's meeting. So thank you to her and her staff. I want to thank John. I probably got more positive comments this time than ever before for the street department and the hard work they did from Wednesday when they pre-treated the streets with that beet juice stuff. And then Thursday they were plowing, Friday they were plowing, but everyone said that they've never seen the streets in Benton look better during a snowstorm like we just got. And I think the official record was 10 inches that we got in the city of Benton. Thank them. I want to thank the county, because we even got a lot of compliments from roads out in the county where the county was doing the same thing the city was. So I just took the thanks and went on about it, but you know, we're all working together for one thing, and I appreciate it. Matter of fact, the county was up there, John, around the courthouse Saturday hauling off snow, because we had the big embankments where they stacked it up, and so they were hauling off our snow, and I appreciate that, them doing that. So everyone worked diligently while some were off playing. So I thank our staff for everything they've done. Parks, I brag on Parks. We had a big gymnastics meet scheduled for Saturday, but the roads didn't adhere to coming to town and doing that. So rescheduled for Sunday, and they had their gymnastics meet on Sunday, even though it was scheduled for Saturday. So instead of canceling it, we worked to get that in. At the same time that was going on at the Boys and Girls Club was a big baseball clinic
put on by the UALL baseball coaching staff. While all that was going on, we had the warming center where all the churches in the community come together and the housed and the unhoused during the cold nights. So our community is working together to make things better for everyone. So our thank you goes out to all our staff, Mandy, John, and everyone else. And Scotty even volunteered to come up there and sit if we couldn't find an officer, but everything was covered, so.
Hey, John, so between last winter and this winter, we added 2 more snow plows, did we not?
On pickup trucks, on heavy-duty pickup
And we
trucks.
used those and, okay.
We had 5 going, 4 spreaders.
That's what they used in Little Cove with pickup.
Well, I know Miller Cove, it was, I mean, it was short, the next day, by 10:30, there was snow plows.
They were on it. Hey, let me say this. On Monday of last week, John and I spoke. He went to his 21 people and he said, look, the winter storm's coming in. I need you to change your day off. Instead of being off on Friday, why don't you take Tuesday or Wednesday off so that we can all work together on Friday? And they all agreed to it. So, and they didn't have to, but they did. You know? So John's leadership made sure that everything was taken care of. Right.
No rest for the weary, because there's another Arctic blast coming.
And we're ready. We might have to increase the budget for salt and beet juice, but we're ready.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have no further.
That's all. Before we raise the budget.
Make sure you turn your microphones off, please.
This one don't turn off.
No, that was.
Our next meeting will be in
Well, no, tomorrow night will be here. And then we'll have our council meeting here. Because right now our set date to move is the 5th, 6th, 7th of February.
Specs.
Is that right?
I've got.
Well, he